And welcome back once again to the PCS Spring Split 2022. We are halfway through the day. 3 games down, 3 more to play. Hi, everybody. I am Pyrotechnics, and he is Clement Chu. And our sponsors, of course, are CTBC Bank and Caliber. Thank you both for making PCS possible. Now, Clement, this next matchup is a real interesting one because I feel like of all the teams in the PCS, Deep Cross Gaming and Meta Falcon team both have a very specific way they want to play the game, and they have so far executed it to a T.
This is our closest match of the entire day, and talking about unique styles, we have Deep Cross Gaming going for pure Smite top lane gameplay. That's exactly what we want to see. We see Nesty on the Bard roaming around. He's down to 1000 XP at 10 minutes. Doesn't matter. He gets the kills. He gets the first bloods. On the other hand, MFT is playing a pure triple dive composition. Both of these teams really like the Diana pick. That's kind of been their go-to both times from what we've seen, but the way they actually deal with the early game could not be more different. So it's very interesting to see if MFT try to switch up or try to ban away this style, and what each other will do if their main strategy is taken out of the picture.
Yeah, I think the pick ban is going to be really telling for this one to see if, especially on the Deep Cross side, if that Bard does actually get removed. As all the threats you got to think about. I mean, obviously Zeri is pretty permabanned. However, we did see it go through for Kriskata. Also got a chance to play that Heimerdinger to pair up with the Bard. So definitely some interesting champions to start for the new bot laner on the side of Deep Cross. And on the Meta Falcon team side, this is the squad that's come up through Collegiate. They wanted to stay together to prove that they could be greater than the sum of their parts, and I think overall a 2-1 record, they certainly have done it. But let's take a look at the blue side team first, Deep Cross Gaming, or if you want to call them the J-Team Avengers, they certainly have a lot of former members. We got Leaky in the top lane, Hana in jungle, Nesty in mid, Kriskata, and of course rounding out the pack, Woody, as we see them on the screen as well. This is a team that's also really looked good in their first 2 games, and I'm curious to see with how close this matchup should be, how well they'll deal here today.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of teams will just choose to ban the Bard outright because Deep Cross Gaming has gone way too deep into the rabbit hole. They not only anticipate counters to their strategy, they have counters to those counters. So we saw Frankie Sports trying to slow down the bot lane push with Caitlyn and Karma, and Kriskata pulled out a Heimerdinger lane to make sure they could shove that wave and have the roaming Bard and Tryndamere do a tower dive in the bot side. So if you see a team that has that strategy that is so fleshed out, you pretty much just don't want to deal with it. You want to have them showcase their own cards. Meanwhile, on Meta Falcon team, this is very much a jungle team. 665 does the most damage of any jungle in terms of the damage share. In the meanwhile, we have Wen playing a lot of bruiser to support him, stuff like the Renekton. And then Taco in the top lane, who is a really clever split pusher. We've seen some great flanks coming out from this guy on stuff like the Akali.
Absolutely. I think this team plays such an interesting and fun style of League of Legends. And because they have such good synergy from all their past experience together in the collegiate scene, this is a squad that, coming into the league, play at a level of synergy that honestly I think a lot of teams don't expect. It's really good to see them so far so good, 2-1 on the scoreboard. If they can make it a 3 today against Deep Cross, I think that's what propels them into the top 4, top 5. We will be comparing the bottom laners today for our stats. Kriskata, coming fresh-faced into the league, has a pair of really interesting games, and on the opposite side, Whale, a little bit more middle of the pack, but has certainly done what is needed of him when he's gotten his hands on the champions right for the job.
Yeah, Will's champion pool is what is very interesting and, to be honest, a little bit worrying because his job on the team is just to provide crowd control or go in with the rest of his team. Remember, MFT is a triple dive team composition, so the AD carry is, the role for him is really non-standard. In the meantime, Kriskata has the most DPM of any player right now in the PCS at 745. He's been doing a great job. Getting that Zeri, of course, boosts your chances, and Heimerdinger was dominant in lane. So here is the real question. Will MFT allow the Bard to go through, or will they just say, hey, you got to show me another card, DCG?
Now we're about to find out. Starting things off here, Deep Cross going to go ahead and get rid of the Diana and, of course, the Tryndamere. Meta Falcon team start off by opening up on the Renekton. They also banned the Senna. This is something that Woody played in one of their games.
Yeah, very interesting so far. They are just contemplating their options here. In the meantime, DCG, they don't mind just taking away the sort of hyper carries from 665. They could just ban the Viego as well, and that would really put 665 in kind of a tight spot. They would have no carries to play in so far in the jungle from this meta, but no, they're actually going to take away the Rise, which honestly hasn't even been that high priority. Very interesting choices here.
Yeah, there's the Bard ban away, so it does leave Zeri up for Criscata, and I feel like that's the bigger threat there as they get the insta-lock in. Oh, boy.
We have read out those Zeri stats, you know, in the major regions on 12.3 out of 13 games has only lost once. So she's riding on a 90% plus win rate right now. We have seen people try to counter it out, as Hurricane Gaming has tried before with the Twitch.
Did not work.
Did not work whatsoever. In theory that works, on OPGG that works. Haven't seen it so far in the any of the major leagues.
It definitely has been a little bit tough, and most teams have just opted to banning. A lot of newer champions with overloaded kits, that certainly seems to be the way of it. MFT do answer with a Gwen pickup as well as the Nautilus, which has certainly been a very high priority support champion just because of how tanky he is, the dredge line allowing people to get in there and mix it up. We've seen some really great Nautiluses. I feel like I'm saying that wrong. Nautilus is like a Latin word, so maybe Nautili, is that correct?
I'm actually not sure about the plural for Nautilus.
I was clearly not an English major, Clement, so you're gonna have to bear with me. But Deep Cross, you know, they also pick up for Hana the Xin, another hotly contested pick, and they also throw in the Leona. This is it's almost like they're saying, all right, MFT, we're gonna throw the triple dive right back at you.
All right, so MFT are gonna have to go for a different route right here, and I feel like they're still going to go for a very similar strategy. It's the same thing when Whale is playing Kaisa. He's just there to add additional damage to make sure the triple dive can actually finish off the target. But this time they have a very difficult task. We have seen this Zeri just run with Cleanse and make her pretty much invulnerable to these triple dive compositions. She's almost impossible to lock down. She can go over walls. She has insane movement speed. So MFT are really reaching for the impossible right here, I feel. Unless they have a little bit more hard crowd control, I don't think they can lock down the Zeri. And talking about hard crowd control, now that I think about it, that's probably why the Rise is being banned away as well, just to make sure that there's no point-and-click CC on that Zeri.
And they keep hitting the jungle pool too. Now the Heck Rib's off the board. MFT not convinced that this isn't going to be double enchanter as they get rid of the Janna, I should say. Still some time on the board, but I think they're definitely maybe not expecting what's being thrown their way. And yeah, the Zeri kind of being made the centerpiece of this composition. Of course, it makes perfect sense if you get given a golden opportunity to take it.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And we see the Rakan just being banned away, just triple checking Nesty.
No enchanters for Nesty today.
I could tell by Nesty's emotions that he actually wasn't going to play Enchanter anyway. Like, he's like, oh, look at them, they're triple banning me, I wasn't even gonna play it. So just pointing out to the coach how valuable he is on the ban side. For MFT, I feel like they could probably go for Akali and Viego still, and just make sure that, you know, this is gonna be not Akali, but probably something like the Galio. We have seen that from Wen, just to make sure that they can lock down the target and secure those kills. But overall, it still looks like to me that they are going for a dive strategy. I'm not fooled by this Ziggs. I don't think they're going to go poke. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, Wen. Pick up a Corki.
Okay, so I was about to say, like, what other champions can they go for the hard CC? And I feel like this is one of the answers here. If you flex the Gwen into jungle, you can go set top and do some shenanigans. Maybe they set jungle with 665? I was about to suggest the Volibear, but I feel like that works just as well.
Oh yeah, the Volibear could definitely be one of those champions that just dives in. You're unstoppable during the jump. Set these days has mainly been mid. I feel like after the nerf, set top lane just isn't that strong.
Yeah.
Loses to a lot of
different
matchups.
This could be a Wen champion. I think that's probably fine.
Yeah, I do see it going mid a lot more, and Leaky finally gonna go top lane this time. So I think this pretty much you know, puts a nail in the coffin on the Smite top laner. We are just gonna see a game plank here. Have seen Hanabi play this already, so still decently strong in the meta. And once again, it is a champion that prevents divers going onto you. And, ooh, Viego. Nesty always has to be creative. Not Viego, sorry, Viger.
It's Nesty the other V champion that we weren't expecting. I was not. I was not prepared for the Vygar to come out, but I like this. Everyone wants to dive? Okay, I got a cage for you. Talk about some AoE damage doubling up with that Gangplank. This is going to be a fun game.
Yeah, it definitely is going to be. And now MFT has to decide whether this Gwen is going to go into jungle or top lane. It does look like it will be Gwen into the jungle. As we said, 665, 20% of the team's damage. That's the highest damage share of any jungler in the league so far. They're going to stick to that. Triple dive once again. I knew MFT wasn't going to change their colors. They don't strike me as a team that really has the second strategy. I think they're pretty much all in on this one, so we'll see how they do against this one. But so far I feel like DCG have a very good read and a very good comp built around this Zeri.
And it just seems like this is a team that has so many answers. They have a lot of experience in some of their core, even though they're pairing it with some new players as well. And clearly Deep Cross have prepared a deep set of strategies coming into this. It's not all double enchanters. We'll see if it works out for them, because we talked about how this was expected to be a fairly close game on paper, given the fact that both teams have kind of come out swinging with their own strategies. But it was Deep Cross that varied things up and met a FALCON team that stuck with the tried and true. It's a hard to execute comp on the side of Triple Dive. They had a number of champions banned away from them. I do like the Gwen flex because 665 is such a heavy damage dealer. But will the other picks be good enough to survive in some of these lanes? I am a little bit worried about that, especially in the mid. I mean, now with the Vygar, I'm like, all right, Nesty might get a little more aggro than I would have expected.
Let's be completely honest, like mid jungle from MFT is not going to be doing anything this game for like the first 10-12 minutes. I don't see them having any proactive plays. So I think we could be seeing a game very similar to the one that they played against CFO, where they just bleed out early before they can really get their pick comp online. And this is a great pick composition. You know, if you're talking about locking down a Zeri, Camille, Set, Gwen, like those are the best champions you could possibly draft to do so. The problem is I don't really see them going to mid game without a large deficit.
Yeah, that's the issue, is surviving until the mid game without being just totally shut down. And I do worry when Azeri is in play, anyone facing off against it might have a real hard time. Taking a look at our choices of runes today here. Predator Vygar. Oh boy.
This is very spicy. I'll be honest, I'm not that familiar with Vygar builds, but he has a free laning phase. There's not much Set can do against him if he holds onto his event horizon. So it makes sense to use the Predator just to put on a little bit extra pressure. And he's been playing Bard for so long that he probably just has it stuck in his mind to try this stuff. In the meantime,
Nesty's a fun player.
Yeah, Nesty is. He's probably my favorite player to watch this split, hands down. I don't think there's anyone as entertaining as him. He's kind of interesting because the champion he masters, he's very, very good on. A lot of times he will just forego the meta and play champions that he has a mastery of. So I always like watching these Dornby-esque players when they do that. And another thing I wanted to mention about this setup is that Zeri in 12.3, the majority of Zeri players are still going for the Triforce and Titanic Hydra build. That's a very tanky build to try and take now.
Yeah, if you're trying to go for the dive into the burst. And yeah, I think there's a lot to worry about if you're the MFT side. And to go back to your point before we really get into things about Nesty being one of those like Doomby-esque players, I feel like the PCS has a lot of these over the years. Only ever like so many like at a given time, but seems like a good place for those types of players that just decide we don't care about your meta. We're going to play the things we have spent thousands of hours on.
And the most prominent one is probably Westor. Like, he was the one that really started this trend where, you know, he's a top-level player on a top-level team, playing essentially only 3 or 4 champions at a time. So, you know, he has proven that you can make things work, but it really is taxing on the coaches and really taxing on the other players to kind of bend their play style around and play something a lot of times that is suboptimal to kind of compensate for it. So we'll see how far MFT can really take it with such a strategy. But I think it's very difficult. I think they have to change their entire idea of the game. Like, they really have to have lanes that are just there purely for survival. They have to forego a lot of these early games and learn to make do with that. Where are you going?
Friscata. That
was Woody.
That was a very long leap right there as Woody got left out to dry. Yeah, you see the question mark pings from
He was
MFT.
too close to the wall, so I know what he wanted to do. He wanted to use the E to get the pierce on his next 3 burst fires, but unfortunately, he took the scenic route on that one.
Yeah. Man, that's a long dash on the Zeri. You can tell even Woody was like, okay, man. But no harm, no foul. If they don't get punished for it, they were the ones actually going aggressive here. And I feel like if you're Whale and Epic, you just breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah, that could have been a lot of damage going in, and early on Ziggs, it's kind of hard to put a lot of damage onto people, like, with the mobility that Zeri has, she can easily dodge out on the satchel charge, so you really have to be careful about that one.
Here they go again. Round 2. Criscata dishes a lot, but he does take a lot for his trouble. I feel like that's more or less an even trade.
Yeah, I don't think he had his E cooldown yet, and that's a problem about Zeri, is that you do get minion blocked on your Q, so you really need your E to be up to be able to trade within the minion wave, and unfortunately Woody went in way too early right there. The level 1 E has a very long cooldown, so I don't think they were actually able to dish out damage across the minion wave.
Yeah, it's a little bit misfiring, but, you know, again, not really being punished for the misfire at the moment, so the game is just in, you know, the early holding pattern. If you're MFT, you got to be pretty happy with this, that you wanted to stay alive and get into that mid game without falling significantly behind and losing lanes. Yeah, sure, they're down a bit in farm up top, but I think they're pretty happy about how things have gone everywhere else.
I love this play from Leaky. This is a really smart play where you just do a cheeky early teleport, make sure you get that early sheen, and punish Taco as much as possible. Like, Taco can't even go back to his own base right now because the tower is constantly being flooded with minions. He's going to lose a lot of EXP here, and you just continue to punish the Camille there. Like, what is Gwen going to do to you? Like, Gwen has one slow.
Whoa. Well, I don't know about Gwen, but I'm talking about Wen right now as he's chasing down Nesty, who does walk away without being killed. So, I don't know, man. I was like, if he has 6, I feel like that's a solo kill, but he didn't.
It's just so painful to watch. This is the problem with NFT. The early game doesn't do anything. You can watch Nesty just waddling away on the Yordle. He doesn't even burn Flash, you know, doesn't care, and didn't even have Predator there. He just walks away from the game. And flashes in the emote right after.
The emote game has been very strong this year, I have to admit.
It definitely has.
Especially from Arashi earlier today.
I love Arashi just had to get that kill on Atlan. You know, you have to show him who's boss, so...
It's about sending a message. You don't have to win the game.
I'm not sure I agree with that one, but... getting the emote when you can't win the game is... I think it's a good compensation.
Yeah. He had fun playing League of Legends, and that's you know, that's the real difficult thing for sure. Now, MFT will be able to secure themselves a Hextech Drake, and now Taco is in a little bit of trouble as the cage comes down. He flashes. I don't know if he should have, right into the waiting arms of Leaky.
Yeah, he had to try and outplay with the Hextech ultimatum, but he stepped on the... he unfortunately, he really didn't have a target and didn't use his ult whatsoever. I just think he knew he was dead by the fact that even if he dodged the ult, that's kind of weird. Like, as you were saying, if he didn't use the ult, he probably shouldn't have used the flash either and just submitted to his destiny, but he kind of ended up... Yeah, I think he ended up on the wrong end of both sides right there. And if you look at the gold, this is what I was worrying about. That Camille matchup against the GP matchup is brutal early on, especially when you don't have jungle pressure. And Leaky just did a cheater. It wasn't even a cheater recall. It was just a cheater TP straight into Sheen push. Oof.
Yeah, that's definitely a big bit of bullying going on topside, but they also brought Nesty to the party in Hana as well. So that's like, you know, kind of extra rough at the moment. Nesty does get the blue buff over to himself, as he actually had Leaky tapping in. Lane swap comes through here for MFT. I think they were the ones who instigated it. Maybe just to give Taco a little bit of farm.
Yeah, I do think they want to create a situation where there is a big team fight over the Herald. If you're team fighting, at least you're not laning. And right now for MFT, as long as they don't lane, they can kind of stop the bleeding just a little bit. Unfortunately for them, DCG can very well contest this. This is still a 4v4 scenario. The big
Will
thing
they,
to watch here is the Cannon Barrage was already used, and this is good zoning coming down from MFT, so maybe they can sneak this one away.
Yeah, I really actually like the great use of the Ziggs bombs just stopping this, and now they've brought Wen here as well. This could still turn into a fight, but the Smite's already gone down, so they've secured the Herald. Epic is actually going to be isolated from the team, and 665 and Whale walk over the wall, but meanwhile, Wen could be in trouble. No, never mind! He goes for the showstopper, forcing Woody to flash away from it, and it's a bit of a wonky fight as 665 gets collapsed upon. And here comes Hana, MFT. They thought they could casually saunter away from that.
They still did get the Herald, but the ensuing fight was completely in DCG's favor. I feel like MFT should have been happy with the Herald and just backed out completely. But unfortunately, I felt like they were trying to save Epoch on the top side right here. Like, this is just a full retreat. I'm not sure what you guys are doing here. Wen tried to go for a kill on the support, was not worth his flash for that. There's no way you should be expending your flash just for Woody's flash there. And they end up paying a pretty hefty price for that one. Whale also having to flash out of the Event Horizon too. So,
yeah.
you know, MFT could have just called it a day and just counted it as a win, but just even the target selection was weird for me. I feel like they just kind of panicked in that situation.
Yeah, that was a bit bizarre here. Now, Kriskata is actually waiting in a bit of a bad spot himself, and he's just going to go ahead and go for the back and hope that Whale and Epic don't sniff for him, but yep, he gets a little scared himself. He's going to be able to get back out to safety. A couple of head-scratcher moments there for MetaFalcon team. We'll see what they can do, though, with this Rift Herald now that they do have it. They have to create an opening first.
Yeah, and they do have to get this pushed pretty far in as well, and I feel like at this point, Kriskata is willing to step up and sort of challenge this. They do have both of their summoners, while Val has no combat summoners, so yeah. If a fight breaks out, I don't feel MFT is going to be confident enough, and indeed, even with the 3-man, they do decide to back out in the end.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of uncertainty from the squad, which hasn't really happened before, but I also think they've been, you know, forced into some champion choices maybe they didn't want to take overall. The triple dive looked a lot cleaner in other games. Of course, it's still very early days, and yeah, there is the Event Horizon. Wen just stays in the center of it, which, you know, I don't know that much about black holes, but I do feel like that's supposed to not be a good thing. But that's just how Riot designed it, so it's okay.
Yeah, Event Horizon is, you definitely don't want to get trapped out on that one. I'm looking at the gold difference right here. This is very comfortable in DCG's favor, and I think MFT have to get this Drake stack. I think that's probably their best road to victory. In terms of scaling, I'm not even sure I would want to take this comp into the late game. Vigar actually scales incredibly well. The same goes for Zeri here. And I feel like they're making a big mistake if they just let this Drake go over. Instead, they're trying to force feed Taco in the meantime.
Just tried to steal it. That is... Yeah, I think there's some indecisiveness happening here that we haven't seen from MetaFalcon team. However, now they are going to pull the trigger, looking for Hana and looking for 665, but he just throws down the mist and Gwen is immune. And they're going to go in for round 2. They got damage onto Woody, but will it be enough here as the turn is there? 665 is going to get just absolutely crushed out as Kriskata picks up 1, picks up 2. Hana gets a 3rd, and oh boy.
Yeah, that was a weird turnaround. Gwen without the ultimate, you're never going to catch up to Kriskata anymore, and we have seen this play happen so many times before. Once this Zeri gets fed, gets going, there really is no stopping her. So we're going to watch this one again. They blow everything again on Woody, not really the target you want to go for, and this time he also has the stopwatch. Again, Whale does not have combat summoners. A bit of a visual bug here as he just steps on water there, but... does get taken down by the Zeri, and now we are going to see a very early Triforce. This is most likely a 12-minute Triforce with a lot of movement speed to boot on that.
You give away the Zeri, you give up that many kills earlier on, your tough situation. Now Nesty is going to get a taste of his own medicine trapped inside the cage, but even a 1v2, look at the damage! He's almost killing Taco, he does it!
He's going to get 2!
And he's going to get 665 too! That's not supposed to happen!
Oh... That was well played by Nessie. The Event Horizon right on the edges, and they also stopped the Herald. That's a disaster for MFT.
No. Oh, Clement, this is... Man, if you if you are MFT, you're feeling pretty bad about that. But Nesty, on the other hand, just says, all right, I will take my Everfrost. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I like the attempt right there. You know, DCG wanted to get in on him before the stopwatch and everything, but that Event Horizon was oh, actually didn't stun. Taco did a good job at dodging that one, but he couldn't dodge the damage afterwards, and
Memorial Burst.
He's just able to murder him.
It's the thing you can forget when you don't play against Vygar very often, is that his R button just deletes you.
Yeah, and he's been charging up the entire laning phase as well. It's very easy to get stacks when you're playing against a melee champion like that. So his damage definitely caught people out by surprise, and he's pretty fed at this point as well. 3-1 and 2. That's the reason why I'm saying that I'm not even sure with this Gwen and Ziggs that they're going to have the scaling advantage to look forward to. Now the game at 8-1 in terms of the kill score, and MFT don't have a Drake stack. Like, this next Herald is going to be absolutely crucial. They have to have the perfect flanks coming in from Taco. They have to have the perfect setup from Wen. If it doesn't happen, I think this game's already slipped away.
Yeah, and even the side lanes are going to be a little tough for them to contest right now. As you can see, Leaky just having a bit of fun with Cannon Barrage to pull Wen off of it. DCG going to look to set up in the mid lane, get this push going. Zeri's fed, Vygar's fed. It's so tough to try and fight into this. You need to pick prio targets. You need to get on top of them, but they're so slippery. Maybe not Nesty, but that's okay. I mean, he doesn't have to carry. He can just delete you. 665 and Wen are down bottom right here, as there's not much else for them to do at the moment. But you're right, this Herald, super crucial. It's just kind of going to get soloed, though, by Hana.
I really like the idea of MFT. I feel like they're a thought experiment where you just want to see how far you can go without playing the early game whatsoever.
Oh boy.
Goodbye, Will.
He almost slipped away. Chris-Kata has just enough range. Zeri is a good champion, everyone. You should ban her.
Yeah, that was a little bit unfortunate. I felt like Whale could have escaped a little bit earlier. He should have been able to spot the Xin Zhao coming from the top side. Just reacted a little bit slow to that one and pays with his life. And, you know, basically that means the bottom lane push is not going to work out. Let's watch MFT Whale's position again. Yeah, he does react quite slow to the Xin Zhao here. It looks like he was completely just caught off guard. Epoch does a good job at trying to keep Hana underneath the tower, but it's just not enough with the Zeri follow-up damage.
Yeah, it feels like they're just kind of at a loss for what to do at the moment. I mean, in the other games we've seen MFT play, even in their other loss, it kind of felt like they still had a game plan they were sticking to. Now it feels like they're sort of scratching their heads. They do know they have to contest this next dragon, though, since it's the only other objective on the map they can reasonably hope to try and fight for, but it's going to be tough. Against so much damage coming out, the Rift Herald is going to get popped in the mid, and Deep Cross are going to hope to try and force MFT's hand one direction or another. Oh, 665!
Oh
that was Gangplank Barrels! That was huge damage right now, and Nesty is going to go in there, and they're going to be able to take him down isolated from the rest of his team, and even though Wen goes in for the suplex, I don't think they've got enough damage.
Maybe
Excuse
they do,
me.
though. Nesty,
As Taco...
can they catch him?
Oh, Nesty trying to walk away. Wen's just going to go ahead and get him at the end of the day if he can. But
he gets
maybe...
slowed by the barrel!
No, the stun! You gotta be kidding me. They can't touch the Yordle.
Oh, you can't touch this. Nesty is way too good. That waddle is just so tilting. Watching him get away when his character can't even walk properly has to be the most infuriating thing for MFT. Oh, the damage difference just gapped them so hard with Leaky starting it off and Nesty flashing in on top of a Gwen to finish off the kill. That's just how far they are ahead. And unfortunately, I feel like the MFT experiment of not playing the early game whatsoever has come to a screeching halt. Look at this, Emma665. He tries to walk away. Nesty is having none of that. Makes sure none of his damage is blocked, and he just can't survive right here. Look at Taco. He's been waiting for the engage, but it's the enemy team that has pulled the trigger first, and Nesty just walking away like that has to be so maddening to watch that. And the last barrel from Leaky, just
well, not to mention the Zenith Blade. Oh,
true.
Leaky and Woody definitely playing Protect the President right now. Really, really well played from this Deep Cross squad, but what a heartbreaker, what a tilter. If you're a Meta Falcon team, you just can't touch the Vygar. And they also split target focus. I mean, I feel like Taco maybe could have done it if he had jumped on Nesty, but he went in Hextech Ultimatum while he was still in stasis. Yeah. I think they are flailing a little bit, but they just weren't expecting Deep Cross to just cut this deep, I guess.
If we're thinking about MFT's perfect setup, they really need Wen as the main initiator because he is unstoppable when he does that suplex, so he has a potential to go through Event Horizon, and then you have the Camille as the follow-up, and then Whale staying very, very far back. He's not going to be able to do it this time as Whale says goodbye.
Yeah, bye, Whale. Okay. Tower should fall, even though Taco does get the blink. Kriskata does get taken down. Maybe they have a chance now that there's no Zeri in this one, but those Gangplank barrels are starting to sting here as Leaky goes on a rampage, and MFT might get a bit more. They grab Nesty, getting a little bit of revenge, but they are running fast out of health bars. However, they're still fighting here. Triple kill for the Gangplank, and a Quadra as the full cleanup crew comes through with Leaky at the front.
Yeah, once again, we see Will just getting picked up before he can really do anything. There were some glimmers of hope as Kriskata was somehow ended up tanking the tower the entire time. But unfortunately for them, Leaky is just way too fed. He was sitting on Executioner and Triforce throughout this fight, and he wasn't being targeted whatsoever. So we'll watch Will again and see if he manages to get his ultimate off or dies mid-combo. So he doesn't even get his ultimate off. Kriskata is a little bit too focused on taking down the tower before Taco can finish the teleport. Probably not the right play right there. And afterwards, you see this is an open hunt onto Nesty. Wen actually does a really good job on getting on top of the Yordle, but unfortunately that is his entire combo. He's going to fall down after this, and Leaky gets a lot of extra gold here with the Executioner. Triple kill and into the quadra kill with the last parlay.
I feel like if you are a little earlier into the game and you only are dealing with Nesty and Kriskata being fed, that works out a lot better for you. But now all of a sudden the third carries come online. Leaky has become a terror, and the gold game is just going to keep growing. 19 kills to 4 here at the 20-minute mark in the game, and a 9,000 gold advantage or close enough. Quietly, Leaky has just been building up a massive lead. He was already ahead from the get-go, and Taco and 665 are going to try and take him down. That's a big old gold bounty on his head. Oh, he finally bites it, but Nesty is keen to get revenge. Hana going to cut off Taco, so they just flip it right back over, and 665 has nowhere to go.
Yeah, that primordial burst from Nesty was
dirty.
I don't think anyone expected that sort of damage. I really want to see how many stacks that Nesty has at this point. Even though he missed the cannon, it still is a lot of damage coming through on his part. And they're just trying to farm up Wen at this point, but I don't think it really matters. This is a good play from NFT. We have to say a huge shutdown. Hopefully it did go over to Taco. He's the one that really needs it after such a poor laning phase overall. He does get the 1,000 gold bounty, but just watch this burst from Nesty. Bam! That was 600 damage with one ability. You can't dodge that. And good guy Hana even serves up the next kill for his trusted mid-lane.
Yeah, didn't really have a whole lot of choice there as they were trying to make their escape. Taco thought he could hook shot to safety, ran face first into a spear, and yeah, right at the back of his head, that primordial burst. So massive damage across the board. Everybody, it seems, on Deep Cross have a pretty positive kill score at the moment, and they just keep stacking it up. This is going to be so hard to get through the burst. As tanky as some of their members are on the MFT side, they just can't get a whole lot done here. And 665 has just not had a great game on this Gwen. He's trying, but he never really got rolling on this champion, it seems.
I feel like MFT is just... They really need to rethink the way they draft. In professional gameplay, I think it's very difficult for your jungler to be a main character. That doesn't work out for the majority of teams. I don't think you can find a team in pro play that really has consistently their jungler as the foreman of the squad. So
I got one. It was Hong Kong Attitude last split, and you need a Kongye for that.
Even then, Kongye wasn't doing the most damage on the team. It's just kind of ridiculous to think about that. So I really want to see MFT if 665 is really as good as he's hyped up to be. Maybe he can be good in the early game and try to facilitate his other teammates to be strong as well, because currently this strategy of completely opting out of the early game and just going for carry junglers is not working out. I don't think that's going to be a winning strategy anytime soon.
No, I mean, against some of the weaker teams, you might be able to pull it off if you can just like kind of hold them at bay. But a team like Deep Cross that just knows how to get in your face early on enough and start building up those leads, not going to let you do that. And now they're on the Baron in full view. But it's almost like, what can you do about this? Sure, they could try and go for the steal, but the 5v5 is so much stronger. Woody just going to try and stop the gank attempt, the steal attempt. Woody is actually going to tank things up here. The event Horizon even holds Wen off. And they're going to be able to walk away with this. 665 is going to try to take down Hana. Throwing down the Crescent Guard. They might just fight them in this choke point. A little low on the health bars. They don't want it, but Wen certainly does here. As he's looking for the damage, gets the suplex onto Hana. Here comes the rest of Meta Falcon team. They take down Woody. Do they have enough? Criscata isolated. So much mobility on this Zeri. And I think he's going to be going down, but he's just trying to dodge. Even the Gromp is helping out in this one. How long can this man stay alive?
Well, that's absolutely ridiculous. Taco actually has to pop into stasis to keep alive, and he's still dodging. He's out.
Oh, no, he went back into it! Oh, Criscata, you were out, you madman!
Oh,
and now everyone's back. Everyone's back up the fountain. What is this fight? Barrels, epic, he's dead. Sorry, no, there's no getting away from that. Leaky will shoot you down. Oh!
MFT had too much of a good thing right there. I guess I can't fault them for that. Like, what else are they going to do? Of course they're going to try and shut down the Zeri, but oh my god, that champion is so busted.
Hey, look, technically they still traded positive. They got Criscata, they got Hana, no, they got Woody, excuse me. I try to keep track of, like, who's dead because it's been so long. Criscata, the crazy thing is, Criscata had at least 3 chances to escape that, and he went back in.
He did
that was almost legendary.
Shoot the Q. Yeah, if he got out, that would have been such a hype play. Honestly, if he just stayed alive, DCG would have been able to mop that one up, but we'll watch the replay. The big thing here is that DCG actually had their magic resistance completely shredded because of the Baron, and they got hit by a 4-man whale ultimate. So it looked really good at the get-go because MFT chunked so much of these HP bar downs. When I honestly feel like he could have flashed a little bit earlier. He played this so greedy. He played this so greedy, man. He waited and he held on to the ult. I feel like he should have just gone directly for the kills with the ult and just went in with the unstoppable rather than with the flash E. With the flash face breaker, but afterwards it was the Criscata show. You can see he actually walks back a little bit right there just to get another Q,
like a couple of times.
That E reset. Yeah,
almost got Taco too.
That walk back was actually fine from him because he wanted to get the extra cooldown reduction on his E. So I understand that, and this was because he was just dead. So
yeah,
I think he actually played that pretty well. Like overall, I'm not going to fault him at all for any of those plays, but. I think that was just a showcase of how busted this champion really is. It's once you get into the late game, if you're running just a bunch of bruisers, there's no chance you're going to catch her.
Well, this looks like the beginning of the end here, Clement, as Deep Cross move into the base on 2 fronts with the Baron secured. A little shenaniganery going on after the Baron play, but they're right back into it, and most of their players still have it on, so they'll be able to take down 2 inhibs. And meanwhile, Taco was not at home, and he took a inner tower, which, you know, hey, that's something, right?
Yeah, that does count, I guess. It was, I just feel really bad that, I feel like Wen, if he comboed correctly, they could have gotten a lot more out of it. The way you want to do it is you want to go in, use your ult, be unstoppable in the duration, and after you land and force the flashes, then you flash and use your face breaker. Flash, and then into face breaker. It just gives too much time for people to react because Facebreaker itself does have a pretty long channel at this level. So
it's a very visual windup as well.
Yeah, I felt like that was just if he played it a little bit more, I think less greedy, then he could have potentially gotten 2 more kills off of that play. But hey, what's done is done. Now DCG looking at the soul. Maybe Wen gets 1 more shot at this.
Taco going to come around the side to see if he can do something about it. This is kind of the last chance saloon. 665 actually opens up to start things off here. Taco still has not revealed himself, and he wanted to try and go for the steal, but that's just going to be the fight is on, and you can see the damage is dished there. Criscata does get dropped early on by Taco, but the rest of Deep Cross are able to clean house. Right now, Taco onto Nesty, goes into the stasis, throws down the cage, try for the bait, not going to happen. Taco has kind of been the MVP of this one, but I don't know if it's going to matter as the teleports into the base are coming through. Deep Cross realized they have the opportunity to end it right here, right now. And Nesty goes for the flash and kill and takes down Whale, staying alive courtesy of Leaky, giving him the thumbs up. Man, you got to love the way this guy plays League of Legends.
No solidarity for your Yordle brethren. He just flashes in and one-taps him. That was very sad for Whale, and
He's unfortunately,
evil. He is an evil genius. What can I say? You know, Deep Cross Gaming, I love Nesty. I love what they're doing right here. They are showcasing that they have multiple modes of play. So far, they've been able to play the Smite top lane, and in this game, they read MFT strategy perfectly. MFT are, they're not going to contest you early game. They're just going to throw their hands up and say, you can do whatever you want.
I do love their...
this one is so funny. So what this reads is DCG is larger than Leaning Penguins, which is the main rival of MFT in the Collegiate series, and there is a chain going on where DCG is basically the biggest one out of all of them. So they are saying that they are better than PSG in the logical formation, because MFT was able to beat Beyond Gaming, and Beyond Gaming was able to beat PSG. So by that logic, Deep Cross Gaming are already better than PSG. Take that.
I love it. I mean, look, you can't argue with those. And clearly, I mean, we were talking about how Nesty was an evil genius. Clearly, this whole team is big-brained because they are just thinking that many steps ahead, Clement. But in all seriousness, like, this was a brilliant game from them. Great reads, great strategy. They showed they don't need the double enchanter, and they could even bait a lot of bans for it, and still it was perfectly fine.
Triple bans.
Also, after that Vigar game, what are you supposed to do against Nesty? How do you even deal with this guy's champion pool? It's just so weird.
Yeah, I feel like you just have to force him onto standard play. Like, what we've seen from this game is that DCG have not... first off, ban the Bard. I feel like the Bard is their go-to. You're not going to have the same effect on Janna. The Whirlwind is a much more telegraphed ability compared to something like Temper Fate. And the rest of it is you just have to challenge them early game. So far, we haven't really been seeing a Nesty and Hana being put to the challenge in terms of just a standard mid-jungle duo. And I think that is going to be the key. You know, these guys are known to be playing very supportive. They're known to be cheesing matchups by playing these really weird champions. But if you just challenge them upright with something like a Lee Sin and a Mage, I don't think they're going to get away with it so much.
Yeah, I think that's almost easier said than done, but maybe you're right. Maybe that's what the team's going to do, is just try to beat them at the standard level. But so far, Deep Cross have looked really good. I'm so excited to see this team face off against, you know, some of our front runners. You know, I'm looking at the likes of like CTBC Flying Oyster. I feel like that's just going to be so hype.
It definitely is going to be, and I think that's where their main challenge is going to be when they face guys like Gemini and Mission, because these are your premier sort of early game hustlers, and you also have a Mission that's going to push Nesty in 24/7 and also take his spot. So that's kind of the that's kind of where I think the real sparks are going to fly later down on the line. But so far, Deep Cross Gaming have proven that they're not just a one-trick gimmick. They actually have the raw talent to power through a lot of these different compositions. And Leaky, I would say, this has been his best carry performance so far in this split.
Yeah, I mean, he was really allowed to do it. He early on in the game, you know, they set him up for success on this gangplank, gave him the opportunity to just do what he needed to, and just quietly banked up that gold until all of a sudden, oh, his barrels do 2/3 of your health bar. Okay. Yeah, no, I really like what we were seeing out of Leaky. It kind of gave us a little more optimism for, like, even more carries on this team. Chris Scotta, of course, just got to play a Zeri game. It was fine. He had some fun moments in that one. There are some deep threats on this squad, and I'm really liking what we're seeing out of them. Taking a look at just how this game went down, it was hardly really ever in contention because MFT just didn't really have much in the tank early on. Taco got set behind from the get-go. You know, obviously, you look at the damage being dealt. Whale really tried. There were a number of fights where I think his Mega Inferno Bombs did start to tilt the scales a little bit, but crucially, 665 never got an opportunity to really get rolling. When he had some good plays on the set, but it just never was quite enough. And I feel like all you need to do is neutralize 2 or 3 of your opposition, and that's plenty to win a game if you're DCG.
Yeah, I feel like MFT, they have a lot of champion pool issues coming from both Wen and Whale. We haven't really seen standard hyper carries from Both of them, actually. You know, this meta is mainly about keeping a hypercarry ADC alive, but they haven't showcased, and if they can't play standard, we're going to see a lot more NST MVPs if they ever go into a BO5. Again, this man coming in with the Vigar of all champions and taking an MVP with the Bard as well. What can I say? This is, you know, Nesty was kind of dropped from J-Team because he couldn't follow the meta. Well, this man is determined to carve his own meta in the PCS, and I honestly hope he can succeed.
I love it, man. So far, so good on this Deep Cross squad, and man, he plays 2 games of Bard. He gets the Enchantress banned out. He's like, all right, I guess I'll go mid lane, and whips out the Vigar. You gotta just love the way this guy plays. A well-earned MVP across the board. Deep Cross having no trouble. Done and dusted on that one, and we have only got a couple more games to go, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with another.